Gas station story time. The time my boss tried to frame me for stealing $50,000. Let's go. First, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you see all my videos, because like I said, I'm posting a whole lot more on YouTube now. Alright, so it's like 2014, 2015, 29 San Orlando, so Oklahoma. I got there at noon this day. So, backtrack a little bit. 3 weeks prior to this, I got moved to this store. This is a giant-ass store, super busy. We were running 400, 500 transactions every hour on the hour. Very busy store. So I get there, and the boss at the time, he was a workaholic, right? He'd get there at 5 in the morning, he wouldn't leave till 8, 9 o'clock at night. He only took one day off a week, and that was Sunday, because that was the Lord's Day. And he was big in church, yada, yada, yada. Been with the company 10 years. Very trusted man, like one of the top dogs inside the whole company. Everybody knows who he is. Cool. So I go there, and like I said, I've been there about 3 weeks. I get there at noon this day. And usually when I get there, like, I have to, like, force this man to leave at 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. But this day, I get there, and I notice that he doesn't look right? I would say, like, most people say sick. My first instance, like, thought was not sick. It was, you look stressed out, like, really stressed out. But again, I didn't think much of it. It's whatever. And he's got his laptop bag with him. Now, he always brings that. He usually comes in, puts it under the counter, and just leaves it there. There's multiple occasions where he actually, like, forgot it there and had to come back and get it, you know, at night or whatever. This day, though, like I said, he's walking around the whole store, not looking very good on his face, and he's, like, bear hugging this laptop case the entire time. And I'm like, okay, but like I said, I got there at 12. Right about 1:30, he comes up to me and he's like, I'm not feeling good. I think I'm gonna go home today. Okay, bye, boss. I got this. I don't need your help. So he leaves. No big deal. About 4:30 rolls around, and his boss, you know, big boss, calls, and he's like, hey, just a heads up. Owner of the company, vice president of the company, this boss, it's like, all your big wigs are gonna come to your store, just a heads up. I'm like, is everything okay? Like, why are they coming here? And he's like, oh, yeah, no big deal. They just gotta do a safe audit. There's a number off. Like, it's not a big deal. They're just gonna be in there, run a report, and they're gonna leave. Just giving you a heads up there on the way, you know, do what you're supposed to do. Okay, cool, whatever, boss. You know, so the rest of the night, I kind of wait on them. They don't show up till like 2 hours later, like 6:30, 6:45-ish. I look up and bang, there they all are walking in. I'm just like, oh, fuck, here we go. But it's really, really, really busy at this point. So my thought is, I'm running a register. I'm just going to continue to focus on my customers, not worry about all y'all. And I ain't even got to talk to y'all. It's going to be easy. So anyway, they come in and they start hitting the register, hitting the safe, running their reports, getting everything out. Next thing you know, they grab this piece of paper and they're looking at it. And they look up at me, looking at it, look up at me, looking at it. Next thing you know, they're like, hey. I'm like, yeah. They're like, get someone to run the register, I need to talk to you. I'm like, fuck. Alright. So I keep up my customer line, you know, hit my button. I'm like, customer service, check out, please. Get your ass up here. I'm like, run the register for me. So I step back to the back and I'm like, hey, what's up? And they're like, holding this piece of paper, and they point at a number, and it says $47,000. And, you know, it shows a little arrow, and they're like, where's this money? And I look at it. Ain't my handwriting. That ain't your handwriting? Nope. Alright, that's all I need to know. And they immediately walk to the back room. So I instantly get back on the register, tell my person to go do whatever. Now, I can hear from the back room the owner screaming. He's on the phone, but you can only, of course, hear his side of the conversation. But I know who he's on the phone with because he's just screaming, where's my money? Where's my money? Okay, well, this is 6:30, right? So about 7, my boss, who originally called me to give me the heads up all of them are coming, he walks in the door and he's like, hey, what's up? And he walks right to the back room. Now, again, back room's got pretty much a bulletproof door on it. It's a safe room. You can hear them all screaming in the back room. About 15, 30 minutes later, he walks out by himself in the back room and just doesn't say a word, mean mugs me the whole time. If looks can kill, I would have been dead on the spot. Walks straight out the door. Now, I know now it's because he thought I just stole all this money, and in reality, they had just fired him, right? He'd been in the company like 30 years. Just fired this man as he's leaving. So, about 10, 15 minutes later, all of them come out of the back room. The owner, the vice president leave. All the other big bosses leave but one. He comes up to me and he's like, hey, I need you to clock out and go home. And I'm like, why? Well, you have access to the safe. So until we do an investigation, figure out what's going on, you're suspended. And I'm like, fuck. Okay. You know, I'm freaking out, not knowing what's going on. All I know is that they're looking for $47,000 is what pretty much they asked me, right? So I go home. We do close at 10:30 at night. I was supposed to be there for it, but we do close at 10:30 at night. So they do, my number one employee, she does close, and she actually calls me at about 10:40, and she's like, hey. I'm like, what? She's like, I'm not closing this. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, it is showing us short $51,000. What? yeah, and then, at that point, I knew they were looking for the 47,000 and all this, that, the other. I didn't realize it was actually missing, right? I just thought maybe it was an error in the system and it would all come back when you close. Like, that's a lot of money, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm coming back up there. So I actually go back up there. I wasn't supposed to do that because, again, I was suspended. They weren't even supposed to call me. I didn't know any of this. All I got told is you're suspended. They didn't tell me really, like, what that meant. They just said you're not working, right? Clock out, go home. Cool. But my store needed me, so I went back up there. I look at it, I'm counting the safe and stuff, and sure enough, we're $51,000 short. Well, at this point, the overnight supervisor, he pops up. Why does he pop up this night? Because he knows what the fuck's going on. He sees me, and he doesn't say nothing to me, because what I didn't know at this point was they already caught the dude. They already knew he did it, caught it on camera, they caught everything. That's why he didn't even really say anything to me. He acted like he didn't know what was going on. He was just there doing his normal shit. That's not the case. But he was up there, he did his little audit and everything. I finally go home. I tell them I just close it. I don't know. Clearly the owners know. Well, they'll figure it out, right? I go home. I sleep literally like none. I get drunk as shit that night because I don't know. I'm getting ready to go to jail for $50,000. I don't know what the hell just happened. I'm flipping the fuck out, right? Because I know in the back of my head, that's the super trustworthy guy. No one's gonna believe me over him. Like, there was already going through the company, like my old bosses and stuff were calling me and texting me being like, bro, you've got all these people threatening to come whoop your ass because you're gonna get this man put in jail and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I didn't do it. And she's like, I believe you. I'm just letting you know they are his friends and they don't believe he did it. And I'm like, fuck. So, I wake up the next morning. That was a Friday. So I wake up Saturday morning at like 7:30, 8 in the morning. I already have a missed call from our office. Our office is closed on Saturday and Sunday. So I try to call it back. No one answers. So I'm like, fuck, I need to get a hold of somebody. So I actually called the boss who sent me home and suspended me. And, he's like, hey, what's up? And I'm like, hey, I missed a call from the office. Was it you? He's like, no, I don't know who tried to call you. I was like, well, like, who should I call? Like, I need to call somebody. Like, who should I talk to? And he gives me the vice president's number. He's like, call him. And I'm like, okay, I guess. So I call him, and he's like, hey, what's up? You got any plans today? And I was like, I'm supposed to work, so no. He's like, you want to come talk to us? Yeah, I want to figure out the fuck's going on. He's like, all right, well, we'll be up here till about noon or so. I was like, I'm on the way right now. Don't worry, I'm on the way. So I get in my car, go up there. I walk in, and it's just the vice president and, like right under him, like his assistant, right? So another huge big wig. And they bring me into this back room, and they just kind of ask me, like, in your own words, tell us what you know, what happened, like, what you think's going on. I was like, well, I think there's $50,000 missing. And they're like, why do you think that? I'm like, well, y'all came yesterday and showed me the, the thing, and there's 47 grand missing, y'all freaking out. And then they closed out last night at $50,000. He's like, how do you know that? I'm like, well, they called me. And that's when they told me you weren't supposed to answer that. You're supposed to have no contact with your store in town. I'm like, is this a bad time to tell you I actually still went up there? And they're like, oh, we knew. Gio told us, but you weren't supposed to. And I'm like, I'm sorry. They're like, that's fine. What else, with that money, you told us that from what you know, there's an arrow. It's supposed to be in the side safe. I'm like, yeah, y'all know. I've only been here at this store 3 weeks. We had the old safes in my old store. This store with the new safe, I'm still learning it. So, boss James told me that if there's an arrow, that means it's in that side safe that literally only Brinks has a key to get into. So you just continue to type those numbers in because it's there. And they're like, oh, he told you that, right? And I'm like, yep. They pushed a piece of paper to me and said, write that exactly down and sign it. Okay. So I wrote that down and signed it. And they're like, all right, so what time are you supposed to get off yesterday? And I was like, midnight. And they're like, we're going to pay you for it. And they're like, were you supposed to work this morning? Now, in the back of my head, so bad that I want to say, yeah, get a free day off, right? Because I was supposed to work the evening. I was like, no, I'm supposed to be there at 1. They're like, okay, go into work, replace his shifts. He's no longer employed by us. And I'm like, okay. Whoa. So, now we're going to talk about real quick how he did it, right? Okay, he already admitted to it at this point, right? That's why they knew. They caught him on camera. So, he was very trustworthy. The big boss who got fired from the back room, he gave him his codes to the safe because he didn't want to stop by and do his job every day. And he trusted this guy, thinking this guy ain't going to do anything shady. I trust him, give him my codes. Well, Brinks dropped off a weekend change order of $50,000. So he was typing the number in. Well, he left off a zero, $5,000. So, there's a $45,000 variance at our store. Of course, it alerts everybody. Now, of course, he thought they were going to go there and just realize, oh, you fucked up and the money's still there and just do the report and leave. That's not what happened. So, Afterwards, though, you know, a whole lot of, you know, thinking and wondering and how the fuck did he get away with it. We start to figure out how he did it. So there was this one night, I want to say the Wednesday before that. It was that week, but I want to say the Wednesday, might have been the Tuesday, but it was the Wednesday before that. We have all these canopy lights, and as I'm looking outside at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, they all start to go off one by one, like chain reaction, like and yeah, it was weird watching it as it happened because, you know, if you have a power outage, it all goes out at once, not like someone's hitting breakers, right? Yeah, it was weird, but again, all I'm thinking is there's 20 people inside this store. I can't see a goddamn thing. I need to get y'all out and lock the store. So I just start screaming, put everything down and get out. We're out of power. I get everybody out of the store. I lock it. It takes me 2 minutes. As soon as I lock the door, the phone starts ringing from my boss. I answer it and I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, why is my store ain't got no lights on it? And I'm sitting there thinking like, how the fuck do you know this for one? And like that quickly. But again, didn't think much of it. I was like, I got it taken care of. I don't know yet. Figuring it out. He's like, oh, well, I was just passing by because my kids, you know, the school, yada, yada, yada. His school's right up the road, which I knew that to be true. So I just, you know, sounded legit. Okay. Well, then with seconds later, all the lights come back on in the same order. Bam, 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 bam. And I'm like, the fuck? Okay. And I'm just like confused on why do they go out? What is going on? Right about that point, I see my boss walking into the door and I'm like, what are you doing here? And he's like, come here. Okay. So we walk outside and walk around the store together. Now, he showed me that someone had cut the breakers. And he's like, well, I was wondering, because everybody else in the street had power but us. So I was like, I wonder if somebody cut the breakers. So I even asked him, I was like, yeah, but like, did you see anybody? And he's like, no, they must have ran off. Okay, so behind the store, like, it was a huge opening for probably 500-600 yards. Like, huge opening. There's nowhere to hide behind. So I'm sitting there even trying to think, I'm like, even if I would be walking out here at this point 3 minutes after you did it, I'd still be seeing somebody running away, or I'd have seen somebody. Like, but again, I didn't think a whole lot about it. But that was crossing my mind. I was like, I'm not really sure anymore. So now on our back room doors, there was a door in the back room, emergency exit only. It had this big old sticker on it that was on the hinges, right? And it pretty much let you know if somebody went out that door, and if they do, you replace the fucking sticker because no one should ever be opening that door. Right? Right. The very next day, so this would have been that Thursday, it might even have been that Friday, but I see that the sticker is the seal's broken. I even asked him about it, and he's like, oh no, it's been like that for months. Now, I'd been there 3 weeks. It had not been like that, you know, and I know my memory. Y'all know my memory. It's pretty decent. I knew it wasn't like that, and I kept asking him, I was like, you sure? Like, I would have noticed that. And he's like, no, it's been, I promise. Okay, still weird. Now, after the whole night happens, he steals the money, everything else. The week after that, one of my employees was like, yeah, it was kind of weird. I was like, one day I walked to the back and I found an entire bag of money sitting back there. I was like, bag of money? Yeah, there was like $1,000 in it. I was like, why didn't you tell somebody? She's like, I did. I told James. And I'm like, I told the guy who was doing it. That's why he didn't seem so freaked out when he was like, oh, why is your money sitting back there? Because he was doing it. So, in reality, what he did is he came up that night, hit all the breakers, went in that back door while we're, you know, trying to get customs out, lock the door, had that money stashed back there, grabbed it, took off, turned the breakers back on, everything was good, right? He's not there, so how'd that money come up missing by him if he wasn't there? He was trying to frame me on it that way, which he actually had a embezzlement charge 2 years prior to even getting with our company. He just found a loophole to get away our background check when he started with us. But yeah, last I heard, he was still going to court over it and still fighting it because that's a $50,000 embezzlement charge, which is crazy because, you know, him and his wife and his kids live with his mom and dad, who his mom was a doctor, his dad was a lawyer, his wife was a teacher, and he, I know for sure, made over $100,000 a year. So why do you need an extra $50,000 and why is it worth trying to steal? I don't know. But yeah. Make sure you follow, like, comment, subscribe.